The Leave Your Legacy podcast is supported by Wise Financial. Wise Financial is a Northwestern Mutual private client group member. For over 20 years, Wise Financial has dedicated its efforts to designing comprehensive wealth management strategies for business owners and many accomplished athletes. Through their efforts, Wise Financial has been recognized as an industry-leading firm. The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello, and welcome to another solo episode of the Leave Your Legacy podcast. I'm Kenyon Murray, your host, and today we're going to talk about dreams. And as a father and a coach who coached his kids all through elementary, junior high, high school, and maybe a little bit in college, probably not as much because the boys wouldn't tell you that I coached them at all because they have good coaches. But the one thing that was always a question was the boys' dream part of my dream, or was my dream the boys' dream? And I think sometimes when you have parents that are really involved in sports, whether it's as a supporter or as a coach, that line can sometimes get blurred. And that's one of the things that we've always talked about with our kids is whatever they want to do, it's going to be because they want to do it. And as parents, we have to support that. So one of the things I love to talk about with young athletes and coaches and parents is, what does a dream mean, right? And I'm one that loves acronyms. I like putting meaning into letters and those kind of things. And so for me, I put together, the D, the R, the E, the A, the M. And I felt like if I could give each one of those letters meaning, it could really kind of encapsulate what this journey has been for Christopher and Keegan and their dream and journey to play in the NBA. And so the first letter, D, I always say that you have to have the desire in order to be good or great at anything. It's one thing to love to play basketball, to love to go play the game, but there's a point where you have to have this internal fire, this desire to continue to get better. And it goes into other things that I've talked about with loving the process, like desire to get better each and every day. Like that's something that we don't all feel great every day. Our body hurts, maybe we're a little sick. I'm one, if I have a cold, like I want to be in bed for like 24 hours. But you have to have this internal desire in order to continue to get better, because there's going to be moments where you can put hours and hours in the gym, in a move, in your jump shot, and you're just not seeing the results. And it's in those moments where you have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to push through this. Like I know this is just maybe just a bump in the road. And so it's that internal fire, that internal desire that continues to allow you to push forward. And that's one of the things that I think was probably more of a benefit for Chris and Keegan, because it was the two of them. They both talk about having a built-in best friend, and they always had somebody they could go to the gym with. Not everybody has that. And so a lot of times in most situations, that desire has to come from the inside. And then you have to make sure that you have people around you that are going to help, lift you up. They're going to help fuel that. And if you want to go to the gym, you want to go to the weight room, things like that, you have someone that's there, that's supporting, that's helping push you. And so that's the first part of your dream is desire. The second is resilience. We talk about the bumps in the road, right? There's going to be more of those. The higher level you try to go, the more bumps in the road there are going to be, and you have to be resilient. So from the standpoint of even making, your high school team, making the high school team, being a starter or someone that comes off the bench that is actually on the floor that's helping the team win, to maybe playing in college, like what are the roadblocks there when it comes to being recruited, and do you play at the highest level? Do you play at Division I, Division II, Division III? And then if you want to go higher than that, it's the professional ranks. So each level you play at, there's always going to be bumps in the road. And there's always going to be moments where you feel that, I don't know if I want to do this, or is it really worth it? Or am I good enough to do this? And it's in those moments that if the desire is there, the resilience has to be there, because it's going to continue to push you. And there are bumps in the road when it comes to anything in life, whether you're talking business, schoolwork, sports. there's always going to be those things that we have to overcome. And so I really believe like to live your dream or to accomplish your dream, you have to have resilience. And that's a big part of making sure that you continue to push on and fuel the desire that we talked about as our first one. And now the third part. So we have our D for desire, we have our R for resilience, and now E. The E is for equity. And equity is what I call sweat equity. So the time that you're putting in, because to do anything, you have to put time in, whether it's learning different things. When it comes to being an athlete, you're going to spend time in a weight room. You're going to spend time doing plyometrics and agilities. You're going to spend time in the treatment room because there's always going to be something, maybe a little nagging injury here or soreness here. So there's got to be that sweat equity that you put into it. If you're looking at, moving up in a company, like what are you doing to improve yourself? Like, do you have to learn a new sales technique? Is there something about a product that you need to learn? Are you putting that kind of time in order to be an expert in your area to become, one of the top sales reps or to get a promotion? And so sweat equity is huge because like we said, you're going to spend more time honing your craft as opposed to actually putting it in motion. You're going to be in a weight room. You're going to be, working on your skills more often than you're actually playing games in competition. And for that big sales meeting or that big presentation, you're going to put in hours and hours of work behind the scenes in order to stand in front of the conference room and present whatever it is you're presenting, whether it's an idea or it's a new product. You're going to spend so much time kind of preparing yourself for that moment. So the old adage is you get out of it what you put into it. And so equity is a huge part of reaching any goal that you have. Now, we have our D for desire, our R for resilience, our E for equity, and our A is for accomplishment. And I put accomplishment in there because it's one of those things that if you have a burning desire, you show resilience, you put in sweat equity, you're probably going to have the product of accomplishment. So what I mean by that is if you put all these things in, you're going to be successful. You put the time in the gym, you're going to have a 30-point performance. You're going to have a 40-point performance. And if you have that kind of performance, or you get the big sale, or you launch this new product and everybody thinks it's great, there's going to be notoriety that comes with that. So with accomplishment, how do you deal with that? Okay. Is it something that you strive for? Is that the big thing? You want to do all this because of the glory? Are you doing all this because it's something that burns in you, something that you feel that it's your purpose, right? And so if you can't handle the accomplishment, then everything else goes out the wayside because you have to be able to stand out. It's one of those things that I talk about. To be great at anything, you have to be willing to stand out. And having accomplishment in something that you do or being acknowledged for something that you do, there's the good and the bad of that because a lot of people with that stop working. I've reached a pinnacle. But the thing is, once you reach the top, now it may be time to kind of evaluate, what your purpose is and maybe set a new height. Something else, something that can maybe branch off of what you just accomplished and you kind of move on to that. So part of realizing your dream and is also understanding that with this, there's going to be those moments where you're acknowledged and you have to be willing and learn how to deal with the accomplishment that comes with any success that you have by sticking to the things that you want to do, the things that you want to accomplish. And so the last part, the M. Now, I think this may be the most important part of your dream, and that's meaning. Why are you doing what you do? What's the meaning behind what you do? Often I've been asked, and I probably haven't asked my kids, I haven't asked Chris and Keegan, like, the meaning behind what they do. I think a lot of times it's to really acknowledge God's gift. One of the things that my wife says a lot is, what are you going to do with God's gift today? And I know Keegan has it in his room. It says, God's gift to you is your talent. Your gift to God is how you use it. And so I know the meaning behind why they both plays, to make their family proud and things like that. But I think they also understand that there's a platform that comes with that. And so to do what they do, but then also to understand that this platform that's been created for them to help other people, like that's a big part of why they do what they do. For myself, I think the reason that I do this podcast, even though honestly, I would say that it probably wasn't a dream of mine, a couple of years ago, but as I've gotten into it, I really see how important it is to give other people a voice. And I think it's so important for this platform to be able to showcase what other people are doing to impact their community. I think we've had some unbelievable guests on the show that have really shown us, their dream and how they've gotten there. And so for me, this podcast, the meaning behind it is how do we share other people's story and how do we share other people's talent? I mean, it's been a great opportunity for me to partner with Storyline Multimedia and that whole staff to really see how they do their stuff. This production wouldn't be made without them. And so it's given them a platform to really showcase some cool things. When I look at the people that help behind the scenes, whether it's with our marketing or our social media pages like April and Hannah, it's given them a platform to be able to do things. So this show, this podcast has really been, for me, a godsend because it has allowed me to connect with other people, but it's also allowed me to see their talent, to see their drive, to see their just their desire to be great at what they do. And I think in anything that we do in life, like there has to be some meaning behind it or else why are we doing it? And so dream is a multi-level thing. If you have the desire, if you have the resilience, if you have the equity, if you have the understanding of how to accept the accomplishment and work through it, and then you're able to provide meaning for what you do day in and day out, I think whatever you set, whatever your dream is, can be accomplished. And for me, it's just fun. It's fun to be able to help people, whether it's even on the littlest scale, realize part of their dream or at least help them in some part of it, whether it's helping them get over a bump in the road, whether it's opening up a door for them to at least be able to show, what they can do. That's what I want to do with this podcast and with everything that we do. And, as a family, it's been a godsend for us to be able to help as many people as we have. And I know that we're going to be able to help a lot more. And with that, I do want to leave this solo podcast with the quote, and it is, "Nothing happens unless first we dream." And so with that, I want to thank Wise Financial, Storyline Multimedia, Elevate with Robin. And remember, go to the Talk About Network on YouTube, subscribe, give us a like, and hit that notification button so you know when a new episode drops. You can also find us on Spotify, iTunes, or the iHeartRadio platform Spreaker, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Kenyon Murray, and remember, let's keep connecting. This podcast is sponsored by Storyline Multimedia. Storyline is an Iowa City-based media company that specializes in creating high-quality video, photo, and audio productions for local businesses. Not only that, but they also produce a number of podcasts, including this one. So if you're interested in sharing the story of your business with the world, contact them today by visiting StorylineMultimedia.com. And remember, your story matters.